Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Tuesday.
Going up on the Tuesday.
So today we are going into conspiracy theory land. As you guys know, I'm trying to make Talk Tuesday a mind-opening day, a video that is going to make you guys think, as well as covering current events like I did last week for Natalie Wood. This week I am going to be talking about a conspiracy theory, and I really want to do more conspiracy theories on Talk Tuesday. But today's video is different because it's kind of a true crime case and kind of a conspiracy theory, and it's also a celebrity case. So it's one that I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time, but honestly I've been like kind of afraid to look into it and upset about it. Like, I just thought it would make me really sad to research it, because we're actually going to be talking today about Brittany Murphy, who, as many of you know, died very suddenly at a very young age a couple years ago, and it was just devastating. And I actually was a huge Brittany Murphy fan. Just Married with Ashton Kutcher and Her is like one of my favorite movies ever, and Uptown Girls, and I just really liked her as an actress and as a person. And when she died so suddenly, I mean, it was so upsetting. But now in 2018, there's a lot of conspiracies about her death and just a lot of questions. So let's just hop right into it. So Brittany was born on November 10th of 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia, and she was an actress. She had big dreams of becoming a major Hollywood star, and she was in several movies. Her first one that really gave her her big break was Clueless.
Let's do a makeover. No. Oh, come on, let us. Cher's main thrill in life is a makeover, okay? It gives her a sense of control in a world full of chaos. Please.
Sure. Why not? Shit, you guys. I've never had straight friends before.
She was also in Eminem's 8 Mile.
Stop it! Jimmy!
How long you been in the game, baby?
Oh man, roughly 15 years.
Girl Interrupted.
Put it on the bed and get out.
Put yours on the bed.
Oh, Jesus. Get out! Get out!
Come on, Days, don't take advantage just because she's new. Pony up some value.
Get the fuck out or I'm calling Valerie! Valerie!
Little Black Book.
Nobody does it half as good as you.
Uptown Girls. And of course, my favorite, Just Married.
I am flooring it. If I pushed any harder, my foot would blow through the floor and we'd be Flintstoning our asses there.
Oh, whoa. Turn here.
And as she got older, she was actually married to a man named Simon Monjack. And Simon was a British screenwriter, film director, film producer, and makeup artist. So moving forward to 2009, when Brittany died, I remember having so many questions when I found out that she died. I was, first of all, heartbroken, like really heartbroken. I really connected with Brittany Murphy. I think she was such a beautiful person, such a breath of fresh air.
Hello, how are you?
Tell me about your character June in the movie.
June is definitely in the middle of a love triangle, to say the least.
You are gorgeous. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I have your hair in my next life, please?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
No. God bless
Like
you.
you in my next life.
No problem.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Have a nice day.
And she died in her home in the Hollywood Hills on the floor of her bathroom on December 20th of 2009. I have actually seen conflicting reports on how exactly this moment went down. Some reports I've seen, she died in her mother Sharon's arms, and her husband Simon was right next to her, and she just said, I feel like I can't breathe, and then passed out, and that's where she died. There's other reports that she was alone and they found her on the floor of the bathroom, so I haven't been able to determine exactly what happened.
Oh, somebody's passed out.
Somebody what?
My daughter's passed out. We're doing mouth to mouth. Please get here quick,
okay.
please.
Okay. All right, we're going to. How old is your daughter?
She's 30. Please hurry.
She's 30? Okay, she's with you now?
Yes, there's someone coming.
Yeah, ma'am. You don't have to yell. We're going to send somebody out there, okay? Is she awake?
Please, no.
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay, so somebody's doing mouth mouth to mouth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, did somebody see what happened?
No.
See, I want you to lay her on her back.
She is already.
On the floor.
She is already.
And no pillows under the head. Is there anything? Kneel next to her and look inside her mouth and check for food or vomit.
She threw up tons of stuff. Tons and tons of water.
Okay, turn her to the side.
Water.
Turn her to the side and wipe out her mouth and nose.
Is there anything in her mouth now? Oh my God.
Is there anything in her mouth?
God.
Is there anything in her mouth, ma'am?
No, I don't think so. You're next to her mouth.
Can you feel or hear any breathing?
Can you feel or hear any breathing?
Can you feel or hear any breathing?
Can you hear anything, Simon?
Yes or no?
Yes or no? No!
Okay, all right, listen to me carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do compressions, okay?
God, oh my God. Brittany, please come back.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Is he still pumping on her chest?
Yes.
Okay, needs to continue, okay?
Okay, let's escape.
Are they there, ma'am?
Yes.
Are they there now?
Yes.
Okay, is he still pumping on her chest? You got to keep doing that until they take over, okay?
So they obviously rushed her to the hospital, and sadly it was too late. And the LA County coroner came to the conclusion that she died as a result of pneumonia combined with anemia and multiple drug intoxication from prescription and over-the-counter medication. That's been like a huge debate. The media has really smeared Brittany. They have really tried to make it look like she was like some type of drug addict, which she definitely wasn't. Like they said, there was no illegal drugs found, but the wording is very convenient to say, oh, it's, you know, prescription drugs, because people automatically go to the ones that can cause you to die. The coroner's exact words were, she was really sick with pneumonia, very anemic, and she was taking medication. And all that combined killed her. He also said this death could have been preventable. Murphy was planning on seeing a doctor, but she unfortunately passed away before she did. This was a case of a person with pneumonia who was anemic and taking medication when she should have been getting medical treatment. So her husband, obviously Simon, was trying to give her medication, cold medication, cough medication, to try to help her, and they're saying that that combined with not seeing a doctor is what killed her.
She had a little bit of laryngitis.
Laryngitis, yes.
That was the only thing, and she, other than that, she was, you know, perfectly healthy.
At your home they found a lot of prescription medication. You're saying she was not using any of those medications?
I'm saying that she used Vicoprofen for her menstrual time, and at that same time she would have Seraphim, which is an antidepressant, for 5 days a month.
Let me ask you about rumors of cocaine use.
She was diagnosed with a heart murmur when she was a young teenager, and she was terrified of anything happening. She never did any drugs, ever.
The bottom line is, if she'd done cocaine, she'd be dead in a second.
Did she have any kind of eating disorder?
Absolutely not. You just need to go to a favorite restaurant, the Chateau Marmont, and speak to any waiter who will tell you that Brittany would quite happily order 4 plates of food and eat them all.
So obviously that seems really sketch. I mean, she's 32 years old. Yes, you can get sick and die. Obviously it happens to a lot of people, but the circumstances were so weird. And she was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park on Christmas Eve of 2009. Shortly after Brittany Murphy passed, Simon was quoted saying this: "I had a life I never dreamed. I have seen the sunset on 5 continents. I'd trade it all for one more day with Brittany. I lost my life. She was my best friend, and she was a little girl who wanted her husband right there. What do I have left?"
And when you've got people making accusations, you know, that are false, it becomes more and more dangerous. But when you have people that are genuinely breaking the law, then they have to be brought to justice, and that's the end of it. The autopsy report from my wife said that she had no trace of prescription drugs in her fat.
Now, this all seemed like a very tragic accident until 5 months later, when Simon died the exact same way. It was May 23rd, 2010, and Simon was found dead at 40 years old in the same room that Brittany had died in. His official cause of death was pneumonia and anemia. Exact same thing as Brittany. Now, when that happens once, people are like, that's weird, but okay. But when that happens twice, So Brittany's parents are divorced. Her mother was there with her that day. She was very close with her mom. Her father, according to her mother, had just come out of the woodwork when she was famous, and kind of, you know, that's a convenient time to come back. And a lot of people question his motives, but he has been really the driving force behind the conspiracy theories. So her father was like, what the hell? How does this happen to people twice? Her mother thought that maybe there was some type of toxic mold in the house that killed them both. So they had mold specialists come in and they didn't find anything. They never found anything that was wrong with their house that could have contributed to this. So you might be asking, what is the conspiracy behind all this, right? Who would have wanted them dead? Well, that's where things start to get really confusing, and there's a lot of conflicting reports online. Oddly enough, it turns out that Brittany Murphy and Simon Monchak were on the Homeland Security's watch list. Now, why would someone be on this list? Julia Davis specifically. She was a national security whistleblower. She's also a published author and a produced screenwriter. She earned a master's degree in aviation and spacecraft engineering. Now this is when things start to get crazy. Julia was a whistleblower because she had knowledge of something happening on the US-Mexico border. Julia said that she had discovered that 23 foreigners from terrorist countries had been allowed onto US soil on the same day that Osama bin Laden had planned terrorist attacks on America.
And her story, like I said, is shocking. A former Homeland Security agent, married to B.J. Davis, a Hollywood producer, and she was subjected to, in my mind, an unprecedented amount of persecution and harassment by the Department of Homeland Security simply for trying to maintain her fidelity to her duty.
I went into work for the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11, and I was starry-eyed and very naive. I wanted to help protect the nation from the terrorist threat, and when I tried to do exactly that, I've encountered retaliation that I could have never imagined happening in this great country. 23 people from special interest countries, which are terrorist countries, have been allowed to enter the United States without being enrolled into any databases that they were supposed to be enrolled in, without their documents being copied, without their fingerprints being taken. When I reported this event to the local port director,
she has a whole movie on this that can explain it a lot better than I can, because I am very confused. Homeland Security took major action against her for knowing this information. And according to her, this led to 54 investigations, 2 malicious prosecutions, 2 false imprisonments, and a Black Hawk helicopter raid on her home that involved 27 DHS agents and 1 US Marshal. So that's pretty intense. And I don't want to talk about Julia and her whole story as much as I want to focus this on Brittany. So if you're curious about this whole thing more in depth, definitely do more research on it. How does Brittany have anything to do with this? Well, Brittany was Julia's friend, and she actually came out publicly saying that she supports Julia. So allegedly, the Homeland Security Department put Julia on a watch list and everyone that associated with her or associated around this issue on a watch list. So Simon and Brittany were on this watch list. Julia quit her job and she sued the Department of Homeland Security, and she actually won. Federal Judge Leach ruled that the government engaged in illegal conduct against Julia Davis. So we know that Julia is not making this up. Falsely claimed that Brittany Murphy gave a statement to them about Julia. They said her statement was against Julia. Now this wasn't true, so Brittany filed her own statement through her lawyers, and that's when shit hit the fan for her. And according to Brittany's dad, they were under surveillance. He said that they were being watched by helicopters and strange men watching them. So when all this weirdness came out, Brittany's father decided to dig a little deeper, and so he decided to get his own lab test done on Brittany. So he actually went to a lab here in Colorado where I live called the Carlson Company, and they did the lab results. He determined levels of metal in her hair. Here's their exact results. 10 of the heavy metals were evaluated and detected at higher levels than the World Health Organization high levels. Testing the hair strand sample identified as the back of the head, we have detected 10 heavy metals above the World Health Organization's high levels recommendation. If we were to eliminate the possibility of simultaneous accidental heavy metals exposure to a sample donor, then the only logical explanation for this would be exposure to these metals administered by a third-party perpetrator, likely with criminal intent. Murphy also had displayed several symptoms consistent with heavy metal poisoning: headaches, dizziness, abdominal cramps, coughing, sweating, disorientation, wheezing, congestion, and pneumonia. So this is exactly what Simon Monjack also had. So is it possible that someone wanted to kill them but wanted to make it look like a natural thing and slowly did this over time? I just find it very odd that these two died of the exact same thing in their house, which is quite unusual, within 5 months of each other. I mean, that's so odd. The fact that he died too makes this whole thing way weirder. So obviously her dad has been pushing for the police department to open an investigation, and they have been completely difficult about it. Like, they have no interest in it. In fact, their statement said the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner Coroner has no plans to reopen our inquiry into the deaths. We stand by our original reports. We have not been presented any third-party lab results for analysts, so we are unable to comment on publicized reports of private lab tests. So it's really hard to say because her mother thinks that her father's kind of insane. Like, she said that he's making all this up, that he's just trying to get in on the fame and everything. Brittany's dad was quoted saying this: "Vicious rumors spread by tabloids unfairly smeared Brittany's reputation. My daughter was neither an anorexic nor a drug junkie, as they repeatedly implied. I will not rest until the truth about these tragic events is told. There will be justice for Brittany." On the other side of things, it's proven that hair can contain metals because hairsprays and hair dyes contain metals. So after trying to get something going with the police, eventually Brittany's dad gave up. If you're wondering what her mother thinks of all this, she does not think there was a conspiracy at all. She thinks it's a tragic accident. She actually believes that Julia Davis and him made this whole thing up and are trying to sell products relating to it and a movie, which they are. Julia did make a movie about this, but I feel like Julia wouldn't just make all this up, and there's court proof of a judge siding in her favor. So the whole thing is just so sketch. And maybe her mom's just scared, but listen to what she said. "I am quite confident that Brittany never cooperated with Julia Davis, never signed any statement in support of her, never met with her, and barely knew she existed." She did add that the journalist once attempted to contact Brittany versus her CAA agent, but all she got back was a letter informing her that the client knew nothing about her claims and would not meet with her. So there's so much confusion about this. I don't know who to believe. I mean, on one hand, they could be telling the truth, and Brittany's mom just kind of knows, like, my daughter died, my son-in-law died, like, I'm not trying to piss anyone off if this really was some type of conspiracy, so maybe she's really just going with that story just for her own safety, which is totally possible, or she really is telling the truth and Brittany's dad is trying to get fame or money off of her death and that Julia Davis is in on it. So I have no idea. But that's it for me today, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more conspiracies on Talk Tuesday. But that's it for me today, guys. I hope you're having a good one, and I will see you next time.